Hi, YouTube. Welcome to Shimmer Girl Talks. Today's topic, I've mentioned it in a couple of previous videos. The reason why I do not subscribe to the sisterhood. For starters, the sisterhood would not welcome me anyway, because the minute I said something like marry before you carry, marriage is important, they're going to, anyway, they're going to be like, get her out of here. We're victims over here. We're boss itches. Nobody tells us what to do. We want to do whatever we want and then cry about our consequences. So I'm going to be referring to my notes. I know I'm not going to get everything out, but I'm still going to at least give some of the reasons why I do not subscribe to the sisterhood as it is. Because one thing that I've noticed about the sisterhood is you have to agree with them 110% or you're not part of their tribe. I don't agree with them 110%. Therefore, I am not a part of their tribe. I just take myself out of the equation because they're not going to welcome me anyway, which is fine. But I'm also not the one out here crying and whining about, men and stuff like that. So there you have it. So one reason why I do not subscribe to the sisterhood is because there is no accountability for the most part. The vast majority of the sisterhood, they don't hold themselves accountable and they don't hold other Black women accountable. Now, they will hold a Black woman like me accountable because I'm not supposed to be going against them. That doesn't count. When I speak about issues within the Black community, I'm talking about something that affects us all. And by correcting it, can change the vast majority of problems within our community. That's what I try to tackle. The sisterhood does not try to tackle it. And if they do, they're placing 100% of the blame on men and men only. They totally absolve themselves of any wrongdoing. That's why I'm not a part of the sisterhood. Another reason, they celebrate the destruction of other women's marriages. And if you looked at Tia Mari's, and somebody else was recently divorced. And if you looked at the comments in the comments section, you saw a lot of, yes, girl, do you. It's time for you to get yours and move on and this, that, and the other. That is a true sign of not marriage material. You have heard me say on this channel that a lot of Black women are not marriage material. That's but one reason why. If your go-to thought process is to celebrate the destruction of a marriage, you're not marriage material. And you might say something like, but you don't know what she was going through in her marriage and blah, 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 blah. Well, I can tell you one thing. She did not talk about abuse, nor did she talk about cheating. Do we know what went on in their marriage? No. Is it our business? Also no. But when you're married, you marry for better or for worse. There are going to be ups and downs in marriage. And eventually, I know I've said it before, I will get around to it one day. I'm going to talk about, and I mention it in bits and pieces throughout my videos, the ups and downs of marriage, the benefits of marriage. The sisterhood is highly supportive of loose lifestyles. Very supportive of loose lifestyles, but then will cry later once the consequences come home to roost. You have a lot of women out there that want to, they've bought into the high body count, the 5 kids by 5 different men, but then 10 years post, 15 years post, now they want a husband, and now they want to whine about where are all the good men? Why are there only F-boys out here and stuff like that? The sisterhood supports that. They don't think that they do, but they do. Hating men. And more specifically, hating Black men after poor choices with said men. And I've already done another video on what single mothers, I'm talking never married mothers, don't tell you about how they became a single mother. And as I said in the video before this one about that man-hating feminist who happened to be white, you have white women out there who hate men, but they still manage to have a husband because they know that there is a benefit to having a husband. There's financial benefits, there's emotional benefits, there's protection, there's provision. They know this. Black women don't seem to know this for some odd reason. So, welcome back. Sorry. I also think that, a lot of Black women, you know, growing up watching movies and TV shows, showing that, the white man moving heaven and earth for, his women and his children and stuff like that. I used to work with this white nurse many years ago. Every single day, she found a way to call her husband a moron or an idiot or something like that. But she still had a husband, regardless of what he was getting on her nerves or whatever. She knew being with that man meant money in her pocket. Something that so many Black women put extra emphasis on is getting the bag, money, 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 money. And I've mentioned this in another video. They want to go to different men to get their provision and their protection when they can get all of that from a husband just by picking the right man. There is a benefits to being a wife. Another reason why I do not subscribe to the sisterhood is because the vast majority of the sisterhood does nothing to try to warn the younger generation of women about life choices and consequences. What I see on a lot of these other channels, these sisterhood channels, is always somebody else's fault. It's always the Black man's fault. It's never their fault that they used up their 20s writing the CC, concentrating on their bachelor's or their master's only. And then at the end of that road, okay, now I want a husband, and they're finding it difficult to get a husband. The women who went through this, they should be the ones telling the younger ladies, you know what, while you're in college, get your husband, and I plan to do a video on that. It's going to be fairly short, but I plan to do that. Okay. Then last but not least, the sisterhood also promotes that thinking that going to another race man is the answer. And one thing that I can tell you about men are men. They differ just based on maybe societal influences and stuff like that. But going to another race man is not necessarily the answer. And that's kind of convoluted because this probably needs a separate video. And I don't know if I'm going to delve into it or not, but I will say this real briefly, that a lot of Black women that feels that going to another race is better or different or whatever, what they don't seem to realize is they're simply reaping the benefits of the men in other races whose women hold a different type of standard that we don't typically hold within our communities. And that's not to say that women of other races are better than us, because they're not. They just make different decisions that's going to be beneficial in the long run, not only for them, but also for the children that they have, typically within a marriage. So those were a few reasons why I do not subscribe to the sisterhood. And I'm sure that I've probably, missed some, points that I wanted to make. But please like, subscribe, check out my other videos before you subscribe. And I will talk to you later. Bye.